Serious, dark web users of Reddit, was there ever a point in your use that you felt you were genuinely in danger? What happened? One time I got twice the amount of drugs that I actually ordered, was paranoid for about 2 hours, and then I just got really high and it was fine. LOL, this same thing happened to me. I actually contacted the vendor because it was probably about double or triple what I ordered. He just responded, enjoy. I've used the dark web once or twice. Scariest thing was when my screen went black for a few moments and turned back on. Wasn't anything big, just my display cable freaking up, but it did give me the creeps. As for dark or disturbing crap, I've only found a list of random addresses. The dark web really has a lot of stigma associated with it. For the most part, it's just people curious about the dark web or people trying to scam you or sell you drugs. You have to do a lot of looking to find the really fricked up stuff. You're more likely to find dark web type crap on Reddit or YouTube than the actual dark web. I don't think you'll find stuff on YouTube, but some stuff on Reddit is the Wild West on the internet. I once bought a bit of weed and I received a blackmail letter threatening me with awful things, like sending CP and calling the police, if I didn't send 1 BTC, $1,000 at the time. I was scared shitless, but nothing ever happened. Always check the reviews before buying anything. Dang boy, should have invested in Bitcoin. A friend of mine used to use Silk Road on the darknet when Bitcoin was $10 a pop. He placed at least 100 orders through it and never had any issues. It's a shame he didn't keep all the Bitcoin he bought, because he would have been a millionaire now. I'll never forget when BTC jumped from 13 to 150 over a few months. I was trying to buy those super cool laser pointers and I got a random message saying, "I know where you live." I noped out of that site straight away. Not drugs, not a fake passport, a cool looking laser pointer. Respect. In college, some friends and I ordered a 100 sheet of acid using Bitcoin to our college PO boxes. We got pretty terrified when it didn't arrive when it should have. We thought it was found by USPS, our own mail service, or the D. We were paranoid. Turns out they just shipped it later than they said. We got our 100 tabs, but that was a very stressful week and a half for all of us. I might have been one of those friends, haha. I feel like this has happened to quite a few people. Every time, remember that the person you just bought drugs from knows 1. Your address. 2. That you have drugs in your house. 3. There's probably evidence of dark web use in your finances, computer trash. They can rat you out with impunity just because they're feeling malevolent. They also could just get caught and be careless with destroying ex-customer information. So it hangs over my head to this day. Accidentally stumbled upon some CP once. Noped out pretty fast, but was still worried for weeks the FBI would come after me. The worst thing is, you can stumble across that crap on regular P sites, too. I stumbled across some pics once on one of the more well-known sites, and there was no freaking visible option to report it. I don't think I've ever been so disgusted in my entire life. IDK if it was the dark web that accidentally came across a website that was basically just Pornhub but for gore. I saw a couple seconds of a man with his hands already chopped off getting his face peeled off by some sort of cartel and noped the frick out. I had to take a break from the internet for a couple of days. Dude, I've seen that video. Fricked me up for a while. Those screams got me bad. Came across a Chan style site. Every post was about trains. Wouldn't say I felt in danger, but I felt so out of the loop that I was missing something that I just got off. My friends and I were once ordering some green off the dark web. On the way, we saw a dude selling cyanide. Don't ask me how I got it. Don't tell me what you'll use it for. Violation of either condition will void the sale. Okay, I mean honestly that's like super easy to get in comparison to a lot of things. I'm pretty sure I could find some regular websites online that would send it to me if I claimed to be a biotech lab or the likes. Had a buddy who used to order weed. The distributor got busted and the postal service let him know there was a suspicious package for him. He could either pick it up or it would be destroyed. I own a fairly rare car that had a rare error code. I looked it up on Google and there was only one other person on the car makers forum that had the same error. And this guy took months and months going back and forth between car shops and the forum thread to try to get the issue fixed. Everyone on the forum was pitching in to try to help him. So I kept going through this long forum thread to try to figure out if he ever fixed it. And suddenly there's no more replies from the guy. Everyone was scratching their heads for a while. We thought he had maybe gotten the issue fixed and didn't bother to update us on it. Then one day, a news article popped up about a really rich guy who died in a Thai jail cell. And then we connected the two stories and they matched up. The same make and model of the car in the news article matched up with his car. And they were both claiming to be in Thailand at the time. So what happened was that same guy who was still talking on the forums got raided by the Thai police around the same time he stopped replying to the forum. Turns out that he was running one of the biggest dark web marketplaces where drugs were being sold and exchanged. It had something like $1 million in revenue per day and he was hiding out in Thailand while living in luxury. They found him dead in his jail cell a few days later. They claim he died of suicide. I suppose you are talking about cases. Founder of AlphaBay. The dude was stupid enough to use his real email, the one he was using for LinkedIn and all legal businesses, taxes etc., to send welcome messages to people who signed up on the website. Everything feels government owned. I used to frequent drug sites. They would go down for weeks at a time, then pop up again, have weird prices. Sellers were different. It made the dark web feel like a labyrinth more than a ruleless wasteland. I found a chatroom advertised as true free speech platform. All political opinions welcome to discussion. I thought I could go there to debate with Nazis who were willing to say whatever they want without repercussion. It was really just a place to post child pee. Nothing but child pee. Every user was sending links to 3 or 4 pictures at a time, or commenting on pictures the rest of them sent. There were dozens of users. I disconnected my laptop from the internet and deleted my Tor browser. This breaks my freaking heart. I was a casual orderer of the dark web for a while and got pretty big into it and started buying slightly bulky packages of drugs. If you knew the markets for a while then you would know one called AlphaBay was the best of the best. The Amazon of drugs and fraud would be its best description. However, it went down mysteriously one day and everyone assumed the owners just scammed everyone for their Bitcoin. Partially true, but in the background it was actually seized the D. Everyone flocked to a new site called Hansa which had some sketchy design features, but it was the next best alternative. Turns out the Dutch police took over the site and with cooperation of multiple governments ran a drug distribution onion site with over $1 million of transactions for around a month. They were gathering information from unsuspecting users, including me, who bought with faulty security practices. Now this is where I started freaking out. Imagine trafficking drugs through the mail and the Attorney General at the time, Jeff Sessions, makes a speech live on television that he was going to crack down and explicitly explains how fricked everyone on Hansa was because they have been gathering data for over a month. And in a big dong energy move closes the site and puts up a banner in its place saying everyone who has purchased will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law during his live speech. I was crapping myself for a month as many arrests did occur, but luckily I guess I wasn't important enough and nothing happened to me. Be safe, boys and girls. Don't give out your information or communicate with others. And if you plan on purchasing anything, use a secure Linux OS like Tails. Use private keys. Connect to a public Wi-Fi spot, not your house. Encrypt all messages. Use multi-signature markets so your chances of losing your Bitcoin lessens. Escrow preferably. Never send your Bitcoins from a wallet attached to you directly to the seller. Tumble your coins first. And when the package arrives, don't open it for a few days. A friend of mine gave me all this info and told me I should help you guys out. Not the modern dark web. But back in the days of Usenet I posted some harsh CLH criticism in alt religion Scientology. Yes, that was a typo for Scientology, but I'm leaving it for context of a bunch of posts. The online threats were funny, but when I started getting death threats by mail I backed the frick off. Yes, Scientology is a dangerous type of cult, and unless you are prepared to go full Inquisition and burn them all at the stake, it is better to stay far away. They have killed, and will kill, to protect the organization. There's hitmen, human trafficking and snuff films and such, but a vast majority of these sites are scams asking you to send them Bitcoin. A small portion of users on the dark web would be there for this sort of stuff. However, buying drugs online is quite popular and widespread. Single vendors can have $500,000 plus in lifetime sales. It's quite safe to use. You use PGP to encrypt your address so only the seller of the drugs has access to your private info. If your package is seized, they'll have no proof you ordered it unless they seize your computer and you have that information stored on it. You can use Tails USB to avoid this. Even if your packages get seized, you'll often get a love letter saying what they seized and there is no follow-up after that. Don't frequent it a lot, but once I accidentally left my browser in full screen and a stranger in a chat room asked me if my curved monitor was nice. Freaked me out a bit. I was once in an anonymous chat room, with a made up name and all that. A guy DM me, and ask what's it's like to live in the city I did. I noped the frick out of there. Webcam turned itself on once. That was scary. I immediately unplugged it and my network cable. Ran 3 complete scans of my system for malware and viruses. Found nothing. Hasn't happened since. A bit of electrical tape over the camera pinhole works wonders. I've never personally felt I was in actual danger, so to speak, since I take proper precautions. But early on I did accidentally come across a site forum while exploring that was filled with snuff photos of women people had assaulted and then knocked out or killed. Shut down my browser pretty quick after that, but felt uneasy for a long time after. I actually learned how to access the dark web by listening to NPR. They had a segment where an author who was writing a book about it basically gave step-by-step instructions on how to do it. I did everything he said and, by golly, it worked. Truthfully, it was pretty underwhelming. Mostly just drugs and counterfeit items, passports, money, etc. I did find some weapons with the serial numbers scratched off, pistols and shotguns, but nothing that would start World War III. I also saw a couple ads for hitmen, but they seemed pretty hokey and were most likely undercover cops. I never felt in danger, but I have never gone back because there's nothing I really want from there. No government agents have kicked down my door, either. The scariest moment for me was when I stumbled upon a creepy ARG and thought it was something much more sinister, until I found out it was just an ARG. The dark web isn't really that scary. It has been romanticized and exaggerated by creepypastas, TV shows and etc. Not dark web, but I used to work for a disabled guy. He'd been pretty badly disabled for 20 years and spent most of his time gaming and watching films. He was there early on when torrenting file sharing started. He even said that he'd top some lists of most prolific downloaders worldwide in the early days. Could be bragging. I don't know. He told me he'd only ever had any issues once. He downloaded a film for his kids, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He was in the habit of checking every film before he let his kids watch, but didn't this time. Just hit play. He looked up at the screen after a minute or so to see a Snow White themed child P video playing. 1 woman, 7 kids, etc. He didn't go into details or say how much his kids saw. Just that he freaked out, exited the file and then went to the bathroom to throw up. You don't just stumble onto the scary parts of the dark web. You had to have been looking for something sinister if you happen to come across one of the sites. Even then, getting access to said sites isn't as easy as most of them are invite based. Most of it is just the normal internet with questionable forums. Think 4chan but slightly worse, and petty drugs. It's very hard to reach the criminal parts of the dark web unless you have very specific URLs, and even then the host has the option to deny you access. However, once you're in, it can become a slippery slope. I'm willing to bet 99% of the sites you just stumble across while browsing the dark web that talk about scary things such as hiring hitmen, money laundering, hacking, whatever, are just there for shock value. There are several such sites on the first pages of Onion link lists that have been up for years. If they were real, law enforcement surely would have been able to track them down by now. The idea that the dark web is an extremely shocking and dangerous place is largely inaccurate. It's mostly weird libertarian blogs and very sterile Amazon type websites for drugs, complete with reviews of different vendors. I remember my friend showing me where he bought his drugs online and seeing how well kept and formal it was. Like you said, it really was just an Amazon type website for drugs with friendly and thorough reviews. Even saw in red at the top something along the lines of, website name, moderators will never ask for your password. I was pleasantly surprised to say the least, haha. So I had ordered many times on the dark web, but one day I decided to place a rather large order of XTC pills from Europe to the USA. I had a terrible feeling in my gut after the order was placed and actually had some serious food poisoning or something that night, lol. Cut to weeks later, I ended up getting arrested for the pills and entering the worst time of my entire life. Not really a dark web user, but I got doxxed by an Nazi group on the dark web and ended up having to use the dark web to find the websites that had my information. Department of Homeland Security and the FBI showed up on my doorstep because they were threatening to send me letter bombs and send people to abduct and arm me. It was scary crap. They all fell off the face of the earth recently, so I'm just hoping the feds got to them. The only real difference between the internet you and I are using right now and the dark web is that you need special software or configurations to access it. You have plenty of opportunities of finding bad crap on the regular web. With that in mind, I'd say that the regular web is more dangerous since it lulls you into a sense of security. I mean, most people these days have a significant amount of their personal information on there. The dark web, you're likely going to have a sense to be more anonymous. Personally, I just used it for playing a WoW private server back in the day since the hosts didn't want to get a C&D from Blizzard. The Clonard is totally more dangerous. Most people don't use Tor to browse it, so they're missing out on an incredibly powerful protection tool. Religious Silk Road and CGMC user here. I used to get the stuff delivered to my dorm, but the package didn't come directly to my room. I had to go pick it up from my dorm building office. For my third or fourth order from Silk Road, I got an email saying that a package had arrived for me, but when I went to pick it up I was told by a RA that my package was in the door's office. I got freaked out. I also for some reason was getting a lot of spam calls which added to my anxiety. I was scared shitless. I didn't go to pick it up for like 4 days and kept getting emails from the door to come to pick it up. I didn't go because I thought that it was a setup. But after a couple of days, I said frick it because I had paid a lot of BTC for that order and wanted to consume and sell what I had ordered. So I went to pick it up. I was freaking out for literally nothing. The people holding onto my order couldn't have been nicer. They couldn't give me a reason why that package was delivered there and not to my dorm. So I just kept ordering more, lol. Not dark web, but mid-90s web. I was 12, and obviously puberty was in control. This was chat room days. Kid I was acquainted with, an Eagle Scout nonetheless, had all these floppy, and I mean floppy disks full of pornographic images from some butthole supedly in Texas. Me and a few other friends were over puberty, so were eager to see naked women. It soon took a quick turn with girls that were likely my age. I immediately noped the frick out and never really talked to the kid again. But knowing the Boy Scouts I wasn't getting involved. But I was like 13 and didn't even wanna tell my mom I was interested in women. I regret that day a lot. I should have called the police. Sadly I just compartmentalized it. 1996 was weird. And I mean floppy. Also, frick that, yeah. Someone who isn't me was on a drug marketplace once, where H, crack C, sometimes PCP are listed, but if you're experienced, you don't even bat an eye. What that person did see once were pills pressed from the residue powders that ostensibly covered the press. These included mixtures of M, fentanyl, Xanax, Molly, amphetamines, GHB. Crap is scary because you have no idea what exact ratios the mixture will be composed of, and with heavy hitting, high OD potential drugs like fentanyl, everyone wouldn't be surprised if that particular listing led to multiple overdoses. This is the craziest crap in here, BC. It sounds real. Just something someone who wants money would sell and not care if it was safe. The dark web isn't that bad. It's still mostly just normal stuff and occasional criminal stuff or scams like hitmans or whatever. Murder, rape, torture, those things can be found on the surface web easily. Live League, Reddit and specific gore sites aren't hard to find. I never felt in danger using the darknet, but I did almost lose everything to it. I started in the AlphaBay days, then Dream, and eventually Empire, which to my knowledge is still operating to this day. I ordered everything and anything, mainly out of curiosity. I wouldn't say I had a problem with anything in particular until the day I ordered Crystal M. Fast forward a few years later and I was slamming it and using daily. I almost chose M over my wife and 2 beautiful boys, and no one was the wiser. Besides eventually my wife. No one at work knew. For the most part I was pretty good at hiding my use, although I feel like I would have been caught eventually. 69 days sober today. I still struggle, but life is better. I occasionally check my spam mails folder, so I found an email with one of my passwords as subject. It totally got my attention. On reading it, it said he was able to got into my laptop by installing a malware last time I visited a P site, and has few videos of me that he captured from last 15 days, including a masturbating video, which he will forward to everyone on my contacts if I don't pay him some $2,000 of bitcoins. I was sweating for 10 minutes before I decided to check. I have a bad memory, so I save all my passwords in the browser. On checking, it was the previous password which was mentioned in the subject mail. On checking hibs.com, I realized Yahoo server was exploited some 2 months back and this guy might have got the password from there. Anyways, there is no point in negotiating with a blackmailer. He will just send another email with more money next time, so I'll let it go. I never received another email like that again. Yes, this is an infamous scam email that has been around for years. I got the same thing the other day. Not really, it's just sometimes some creepy crap on the dark web forums. I have seen more disgusting things on 4chan, to be honest. Other than that, you have to be specifically searching for that crap, and even then it's hard AF. There is no one search engine but many, and with different results. The dark web is general dull. Most of the site is just for dealing drugs. Other than it's dull. Not to say that there is not some interesting site on there. Yeah, and the drug markets are not like some kind of cool hacker sites or whatever. They literally look like any other online market. Nothing exciting, dangerous or noteworthy about them aside from the fact they sell drugs and not soap. The dark web is actually not very exciting and it's very hard to use. The only danger you are in is getting a visit from the law after trying to buy drugs online. When Silk Road was replaced with this site has been seized by the CIA, I shat bricks. I always wonder how rich I would be now if I had the bitcoins. By the FBI. About half an hour into browsing, a window popped and someone demanded money. When I replied WTF, he said I should switch off the light, and then my CD drive came out. Ejected. I turned off router and laptop. Honestly, this made me laugh a bit. I just picture some dude on the other end having a button that can eject the CD drive and going woo spooky. So, I'm 56 and have never stumbled into the dark web. Thank God. I just spent more time than I should have reading about the ghastly videos that apparently thousands of you have seen, mostly by accident, and mostly when you were young children. Every single one of you noted how damaging the images and sounds were to you, and for many of you, that damage lingered. I'm especially saddened to read about those of you who were sweet innocents, just trying to have fun, who were ambushed by this unimaginable horror. Who knows how it changed you? I'm very grateful that the internet didn't exist when I was a child. Not that the videos described are any easier to process as an adult, but still. And I'm sitting here, wondering how much of the anxiety disorders, depression, and lack of resilience and compassion that I see in our society is linked to what I'm reading here. It's really frightening to ponder, especially as this Reddit question, with over 7,000 comments, is only the tiniest tip of the iceberg. Those of you with young children, as a former college prof and a parent myself, here's my unsolicited advice. Know your children. Closely watch their emotional development and behavior. Create open, non-judgmental, safe relationships where they feel secure in the knowledge they can come talk to you about anything. Because in our world today, there's no real way to prevent them from seeing horrible images and video before they are able to process it. Be safe out there. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.